Welcome back to the Fox Robbins Business Show. Great to have you back. We've got a little different twist on this episode, is that we're going to talk a little bit about the rationale for this show, to renew the idea as to why the Fox Robbins Show exists. And but I must say that our theme is that this show is all about developing your best business ideas. And I'm the host, Bill Fox, and the co-host is none other than Cliff Rock Robbins.
Rock, you remembered the Rock from...
Well, you've become a star.
Well, do you remember when I used to go out in public and the women...
You told me you'd get out
I have
on the
to go out in
street.
public with glasses and hide. I mean, I can't... I have to try to blend into the crowd, you know.
Because otherwise,
they keep coming at me.
Women would tear your clothing off.
They're ripping my clothes off. I become
so... a clipping of your hair?
Yeah,
you know?
That too. So now I just put on sunglasses, so I just blend right in.
Anyway, this show, as I said, is all about developing your best business ideas. And before we get into the meat of the show, I want to have some fun. We're going to talk just briefly about the 10 top selling cars for the last 50 years. And the co-host, Coach Robbins, is something of a self-study expert on cars. He knows automobiles.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're going to start in, and we'll start with one of the top sellers of all time. Can we see the, David, can we see the slide on? Yeah, that's the Ford F-Series. And that has sold over $27 million worth of
units.
Units,
yeah.
Trucks. Between 59 and 2008,
yeah.
And that has been a real moneymaker, a foundation,
yeah.
For the Ford company.
Absolutely, and that thing is still going. The F-150, which replaced the F-100, that one I don't think is one of the newer models.
No, it wasn't. The next one is the Chevy Impala, Coach. That was a Impala is originated as a high-end model of the Chevy lineup. There was a high-end, but what did you call that? The Impala was, a poor man's Cadillac.
It was a poor man's Cadillac. In other words, Chevy, which is the low end of the five, you had Cadillac in the high end, Chevy on the low end, and they had their position in the market. And the Chevy's was trying to reach up a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and get into, really start to kind of dig into Oldsmobile.
Well, that Chevy Impala, that sold $12.4 million between 1958 and 1996.
Not dollars, units, right? Yeah.
Units, excuse me. Did I say dollars?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, mistake.
I forgive you.
I don't make many mistakes.
You never did before. That was your first one ever.
That was a rear wheel drive.
Well, that was the problem. People got, to want the front wheel drive for, snow and safety and all.
But they sold a ton.
Oh, yeah. They're still selling.
The next one, is the Oldsmobile Cutlass.
Mm-hmm.
That was a workhorse, for GM, and that one was a sports car. It said the Cutlass, came with a 4-barrel carburetor. Wow.
Yeah.
And 4-speed transmission, dual exhaust. Yeah. That was a hot car.
It was a hot car. They were trying to compete. Pontiac went for the youth movement. Mm-hmm. That was the position Pontiac went for. Mm-hmm. Cadillac was the high end. Chevy was the low end. And then they started to kind of reach into other people's positioning. Oh, okay. And Buick, of course, was just below a Cadillac. Oldsmobile kind of got lost in the shuffle, which is why we don't have Oldsmobile anymore.
Probably why it's out.
There's no position for it.
It's gone, isn't it?
It's totally gone.
Anyway, the Olds Cutlass, they sold 11.9 million units.
A lot of units, yeah.
Between 61 and 99.
Yeah.
The next one, this is a favorite of yours, I think, is that the Ford Mustang.
Oh, yeah, I had one.
You did?
Yeah. I had a 66 red convertible.
You must have been chasing women in that thing.
No, they were chasing me.
Yeah.
Dream on.
Now that car, they sold 9 million units. That was between 64 and 08. Of course, they went through various permutations of the design.
Right. But it was always what they called a pony car. It really found a very unique position. That's the thing that launched Lee Iacocca into fame.
Made Lee Iacocca
that was his idea. That was his pet project at Ford.
Now another one that's a little more mundane as far as I'm concerned was the Ford Taurus.
Yeah.
But that was a workhorse for Ford.
It was a salesman's car. They sold millions of them. What, 10
did they?
million? I don't know. How many did they sell?
Excuse me. Thank you for asking. 7.4 million units.
A lot of units.
Now, that's just between 86 and 06, which is 20 years.
But they forgot about that as an important vehicle to the company, and they didn't put any R&D, and they didn't keep it up to date, and then it kind of went by the wayside. Unfortunately, they lost control of the market share for that car.
It was they were able to compete with the Japanese models with
that's
that car. Next one is another. This is switching over to GM. Back to GM was the Chevy Cavalier, and again, it's kind of mundane as far as I'm concerned. But this one sold 6.4 million units between 82 and 05. The Cavalier.
That's when GM finally realized that people were buying Japanese cars and they didn't want the big gas clunkers. Yeah, they got to have something to compete with. That wasn't their best effort, but it was a car that fit the time and what the market wanted.
Yeah, aerodynamic.
Yeah, instead of shoving cars that they wanted to build down somebody's throat.
And the next one is, you alluded earlier, Buick. The next one is Buick LeSabre.
Yeah, it was around for decades.
1959 and 05.
Yeah.
So that's 45, it's 46 years.
I had a Buick LeSabre back in 81 or something. Great car.
6 million units.
Yeah, had a good car.
And the next one is getting into SUV. Is the Ford Explorer.
When did that start?
6.3, 1990.
Yeah. See, that's when SUVs started to come on strong.
I didn't realize that. 1990 and 08, so we're only talking about a decade, 6.3 million cars. So they did
20 years.
But that was just
20
completely overtaken by the Japanese and European
that's
SUV
morphed into. They're morphing the line now anyway.
Yeah. In its heyday, it did.
It's had its run. Yeah, it was great.
Then the next one was the step into. Next one is the step into mini trucks from the F series to the Ford Ranger.
Right, downsized it.
Downsized.
Good gas mileage,
5.5 million units. That was from 1982 to 08.
That's just somebody that wants a pickup truck and doesn't want to get 9 miles to a gallon.
Yeah, and then finally, number 10, Coach, is the Ford Escort. I don't know what that was.
That's a small car. That was competing with like a Toyota Corolla, which was selling millions of units. Great inexpensive car for like a college kid or what have you.
5.4 million units. That was from 1981 to 03.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Anyway, that's fun. Those are the top 10 American sellers for the last 50 years.
Right.
But what I want to do is we need to move on to the regular feature of our show. Every episode we have Cliff's Notes, and that's when we take advantage of Cliff's knowledge of the business scene in New England and advising existing businesses and startup businesses, whatever.
Right.
You take them as they come at you.
Wherever they are.
And you say you advise close to, it's closing in on 1,900.
I think I'm over 1,900 entrepreneurs.
8 years.
8.5 years.
8.5 years.
Yeah.
Anyway, we want to get to Cliff's notes. And by the way, Cliff, what do you have for us tonight?
Well, tonight I'd like to talk about something that seems to be pertinent to the economy. Businesses are struggling. And there's an expression, I think it was Einstein, that said, if you do the same things and expect different results, a definition of insanity. A lot of businesses are running their business in 09 the way they ran it in 06, and that's just not working, and they're realizing it. And they're getting themselves into some serious trouble. I am seeing some seriously troubled businesses. One of the things, besides paying attention to the financials, you want me to sing that Kenny Rogers song again?
You gotta
know when to hold them, and know when to fold them, and know when to walk away, know when to run. You better count your money. You got to take a hard look at your financial situation. If you are, the one thing I want to talk about in Cliff's Notes now, because I could talk about this issue called turnaround forever, to be able to take a company and save the company. It probably was a good company for 10 or 20 years, but right now it's struggling, and your accounts payable are maybe getting out to 60 or 90 days, and you're struggling to pay your debts. There's a wonderful company that's in business called Corporate Turnaround, and the ASBDC, the Association of Small Business Development Centers in Washington. He's working very closely with this company, and the company gives a free brochure, and the title of the brochure is How to Pay Business Debts You Can't Afford. And it is a wonderful guide. I've worked with this company, and I've probably taken this practice to several dozen companies who are struggling to pay their accounts payable, to pay their business debts, and helped them, guided them to work through this turnaround situation as far as their debts go. This is a wonderful guide, and you can get this guide by going to www.negotiatepayables.com. That's negotiatepayables.com. It's Corporate Turnaround is the name of the company, and it's a guide that tells you the good, the bad, and the ugly about negotiating debt restructuring, basically, with your creditors and paying off the debts, determining how critical is your debt problem, looking at the company and seeing which debts really need to be restructured. And then as a guide on how to go about putting together a financial plan to restructure and pay off those debts, or some percentage of the debts, based on what you negotiate with your suppliers. So if you find yourself, as many, many businesses do, struggling to pay your bills, I highly recommend that you go to the website, www.negotiatepayables.com. Get this brochure, 26 ideas or something like that, about how to pay your debts and get out of the hot water. You had a good company back in 04, 05, 06, and you're struggling now. You've got to restructure the company and turn the company around, doing some things to make sure that you're in business when this economy finally turns around too, because this is going to change too. This too shall pass.
There's many times that you have used that analogy of the sailboat, sailboat or motorboat, whatever.
Sailboat.
Going around, and when the tide is high, that is to say, in good times.
Right.
But when the tide is high, the rocks are down below, they're hidden, and you don't see them, and you don't.
Sailing's easy.
But when bad times come, the tide goes down. Now all those ugly rocks have appeared.
Yep.
There were maybe those hidden rocks that were in your business that you weren't thinking about.
Right, now they're there.
Didn't realize, or weren't taking seriously, whatever the case might be. And now there's something you can run into and smash your boat up.
And there's also less water in some spots. You could go aground too, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah, but this,
the wonderful brochure, it's free. Okay. It's a free brochure.
Well, that's great. Thank you. And I want to just mention for a minute, the Fox Robbins Business Show is, we're solidly into the second year.
Yeah.
Which is good. So we're still alive. We haven't run into a rock yet.
No, we haven't. Well, we know how to sail.
Yeah. But I wanted to just mention.
I tell people all the time, I don't know how to bake a pie. I don't know how to write software. I don't know how to do plumbing, electrical. I don't know how to do anything except start, build, grow, manage, run a business. That's all I know how to do. That's all I know how to do. But unfortunately, those other people know how to bake pies, know how to be an electrician. They don't know how to run a business. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's okay. You don't believe me. You don't want to give me a tool. Tree fell in our yard, and I was going to go out and get a chainsaw. And my wife said, "Honey, no chainsaw for you." She called the landscaper and said, "Please come cut up the tree before my husband cuts his arm off." It's not what I do.
This show is the Fox Robbins Business Show is about either upgrading and improving on existing businesses, or starting a brand new business.
And starting it off so you can be successful, so you won't fail in 5 years.
What are we talking about? It's because, for one thing, you and I believe that that any chance for accelerated job growth will come from small business.
That's for sure.
From the big guys.
Nationally, not just here in Southeastern
We're talking about smaller businesses, whether they are already existing or they're starting up. And we want to encourage the growth and expansion of those existing businesses, or a sound approach to starting up a new one.
Right.
And we also want to, by encouraging smaller growth in smaller business, we're also encouraging more interesting long-lasting and higher-paying job opportunities
Right.
for young people who are coming along,
Right.
who are promising.
Right.
And we want to be, on this show, we want to be cheerleaders in a way. We want to encourage our audience.
I do not want to see you in a skirt.
Yeah, pom-poms in a skirt. Yeah. We want to help the people in our audience steer in the right direction and not hit those rocks. And we're using the power of the television medium, the public medium, to discuss business ideas.
Didn't Kennedy do that to win an election 50 years
Nobody
ago?
did. So the question is, for those in the audience, just where are you on the map today? Are you just thinking about business? Do you already have a good idea? You've already started writing a business plan. Well, you don't have a plan. But you have a plan, but you have no money. Or you have an existing business. Is it healthy, or is it about to run into a rock?
Right.
Does it need help? Does it need new ideas? Does it need to expand? Does it need a new modern approach to technology, which you say is crucial today?
Absolutely.
You can contact us at any time at foxrobbins@gmail.com with questions and comments. We get back to you. And what we want to do is, Coach, is we want to harken back to...
When you say run into a rock, you mean run into a rock and sink, or run into me and...
we want to avoid running into the bad rocks.
Oh,
and
run into the good rock, right,
Go to
yeah.
the good rock.
Probably why I'm not using the name anymore.
What we want to do is we want to harken back briefly to the way we started the Fox Robbins Business Show over a year ago in episodes 1, 2, 3, 4.
And 4. Right. You remembered that. I forgot.
Where do people can go to? Where do they go to get that?
They can go to www.capemedia.org. I think David will put it up on the screen. That's www.capemedia.org. And on the left-hand side of the page, on a pull-down menu, you'll see Producers Web Pages. And go to that website, that's not it. That's Cape Air. He was a guest a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
www.capemedia.org.
Yeah.
All right? That's not the website again.
Yeah.
Okay, he's going to retype it for you right now,
here's
folks.
David's doing
hey,
it for us now.
This is live.
Cape Media, CAPEMEDIA, capemedia.org.
.org,
Yeah.
not .com.
.org.
And anyway, go to that website, and down the left-hand side,
Yeah,
you'll
that's good.
see
We got it.
Producers Web Pages. Click on that link, and then just put in Fox Robbins, and go to episodes, and you remember this, I forgot.
One, two, three,
and 4, and it is a expanded treatise of what we're going to cover very quickly tonight, which is, go ahead.
We just want to review that.
Yeah.
We started off the Fox Robbins Business Show with what we called Cliff's Top 10 Rules for Starting a Business.
Right.
And David, can we have number 1? Let's see, starting a business, rule number 1, or 1, 2, and 3. Rule number 1, which I'll never forget, which when I first sat down and talked to Coach Robbins about this, he said, rule number 1, above all else, don't fool yourself.
Right. People are always thinking that it's so simple to run your own small business that you can get yourself a balanced life and kind of work when you want to and make a lot of money. BS, bovine secretion, ain't gonna happen, all right? You're gonna go to work, you're gonna sweat blood, you're gonna, it's 24/7. To get a business started or to buy a business, you're gonna work hard. The rewards are immense.
Lie awake at night staring at the ceiling.
Absolutely, been there, done that. See the scars, you know?
Yeah, the scars.
And it is a lot of work, so just don't kid yourself. It's not easy. It can be done. It's one of the great experiences of life to start and build your own business.
And rule number 2 that Cliff enunciated was that the world is flat. Think flat, think export. This is interesting because we really take that idea from the book produced by Thomas Friedman.
The world is flat.
And Thomas Friedman's not a business person. Thomas Friedman is a journalist.
Yeah.
And a editorial writer and whatever, a very renowned writer and thinker.
Very bright guy,
not
though.
business.
No.
But he said one of the most important things for business people that could possibly be said.
Yep.
Said it's a new game here, folks.
Right.
The earth is flat.
And what he means by that is the playing field is level here because you can sell products all over the world and never leave southeastern Massachusetts.
But when you said think export, you meant get out of your own little envelope.
Export and pull money in from those foreign countries. I remember if you look at the shows 1 through 4, I said try to sell your products or services in countries like Missouri and Kansas
Montana
and California. No, those countries, those foreign countries. I mean, it doesn't have to be southeastern Massachusetts or Cape Cod or Plymouth. It can be a very large audience. Even if your store is here, there's so much more you can do to bring the dollars here from those foreign countries. Missouri, Montana.
When you define your market, which is what marketing is all about.
Critically important.
You identify your market,
Target.
Go where it is.
Target, right.
And if that's in Massachusetts, fine. But if it's in Bangladesh, that's fine too.
That's fine too. Good.
And that's what Friedman meant.
Bring the dollars here, right.
And that took us to rule number 3,
right?
Which is why we say that the earth is flat. Is that Coach Robbins said technology is critical. Rule number 3.
Absolutely. But what the technology has done, what the internet has done, is taken geography out of the equation. In one phrase, that it doesn't matter that I can go online and I can buy something made in California or made in Plymouth or made in Florida, and it just has changed the world as far as marketing products, and we're going to talk about what marketing really is.
But it also means that you better get with the new technology.
If you don't, just go get a job someplace. If you don't want to do that, just go get a job someplace because your company's not going to survive, let alone be successful.
Speaking of your own backyard, that took you into rule number 4, which you said, and I thought this was very interesting when you first told me, you said, you may have to go beyond your own backyard for money.
Yep.
Money is the mother's milk of businesses. You've got to have money to run your business. But here again, take off those blinders.
Yeah.
You're not either starting a business or looking for money only in your own backyard. You may have to go beyond that.
Well, there's no shortage of good ideas. Believe me, I've seen hundreds, if not thousands, of good ideas, but there's a shortage of money to back those ideas. And what I'm saying there is, you start with what's known as the 4 Fs. Yeah, that's where the money to start the company might come from, but then you got to go beyond that. You remember the 4 Fs, that's the founder, friends, family, and fools. Right. Okay. And you got to go beyond that to expand the business. And without money, you're just not going to get anywhere.
And that took us, to rule number 5 is what you said at the time when you enunciated these rules. You said, "Hey, let's stop for 1 minute and talk about what business is all about."
Right.
You said to me, never forget, success means creating and retaining a customer.
Job 1 for a company, I ask this question in a lot of seminars, and I say, what's the single most important job of any organization? Most of the time the answer comes back, make money, and I go, wrong. I said, we got to make money. So I didn't say you don't have to make money, but you have to do something before you make money, and that is create a customer. Because if you don't create customers by executing an innovative marketing plan, and that's a whole nother issue, then you're not going to even get started in business, because a company is about creating and retaining customers, because I'm sure you've heard it said before. And again, take a look. We expand on this in shows 1 through 4, capemedia.org. Click on 1 through 4. There's 4 different shows. We expand a lot on customer retention and how keeping customers 10 times cheaper, getting a new customer is 10 times more expensive than keeping an old one, and customer relationship management. We talk a lot about it, but that is the driving factor that creates a successful company.
And that led you to rule number 6,
right?
Which is, in creating and retaining a customer, you said obey the marketing mix.
Right.
Hey, I could walk down the street, Coach, and ask 20 people, and I don't know if